I couldn't get in deep enough. Okay, so this is something that I haven't wanted to do, but I feel like it's something I have to do. So as some of you may know, I've made a few videos on why I chose the iPad Air over the iPad Pro for my digital art career. I try to always get only what's necessary, right? I don't like to go overboard. I don't like to, you know, get stuff like extra stuff that I don't need. I want to only get what is necessary. So for the past 2 years, 2.5 years, I've been using just an iPad Air, a base model with only 8 GB of RAM. And, that has gotten me through a lot, and it still is doing good for me, right? But I've been having some problems. So as I'm going to show you here, this is a painting that I was working on a few months ago, and I had to make multiple copies. Though I deleted some of them to save on space, because again, this is a base model iPad Air, so it only has 128 gigabytes of memory. So, as you can see, this is quite a large file. This is 24 inches by 36 inches, and of course you can see here, I started out with 12 by 18 inches. I went 12 by 18 inches, I did as much as I could with the 12 by 18 inches, and as you can see, we've got 50 layers here. That's the most layers that I can get with the 12 by 18 inches. So, I was finding myself wanting to do more detail, also by the time that I'm here with all these layers, right, I'm getting a lot of crashing, like constant crashing, freezing on this iPad with this drawing. So I'll be drawing for a couple minutes, I'll get a crash or a freeze, okay? That's very frustrating because there have been times where it'll sit there for 5+ minutes just frozen. So yeah, as you can understand, that's not really ideal when you're trying to work and, do art, right? So then I needed to get a little bit more detail in some areas, so I pulled up this bigger version here. I blew it up and then I continued to work. But again, the crashing was so much worse, and you can only have right here, as you can see, 8 layers. So I had to work on flat layers from this point on, right? So we have the base layer, then I would duplicate it, draw on the duplicated layer, and then duplicate, draw on that, duplicate. That's how I had to do it for this, which sucks because I'm losing all my layers at this resolution. And that's not the only time that this has happened. This has started to happen with some of these bigger things. Like this right here is a recent commission, and I actually had to duplicate this same commission like at least 6 times. I deleted them again to save on memory, right? So I have 2 copies now. But as you see, this is 30 inches by 20 inches. This is a pretty large file, right? And it's at 300 dpi. We're looking at probably in the realm of 8K resolution. And you might think, well, that's ridiculous. You don't really need 8K resolution. That sounds absolutely ridiculous. But again, this is a commission, and in commissions, sometimes you have to kind of push things, right? You have to meet the standards that are required here. So what they needed was they wanted 3 characters, they wanted a detailed background, they wanted the whole shebang, they wanted everything, right? They wanted this to be a premium commission, and of course I want to deliver them a premium commission, so I did everything I could with this iPad Air to deliver that premium commission. And this is the layers that we have right here. Again, you can see I had to duplicate the layer and work on a flattened image right by the end of it, which can be pretty difficult. I shouldn't have to explain why that's not very good. But as you can see, this is a very, very detailed commission. I can keep zooming in here. I can really just keep going. But it was necessary because I needed to get, good details. I needed to have a certain level of detail for each character. Astarion here, I needed to have a certain level of detail for him. And of course, the main character here, which was their OC. I needed to have a certain level of detail that I could provide. And so, that's why this had to be so big. Whenever it was the 12 by 18 standard at 300 dpi, I couldn't get in deep enough to do this. So the problem that I was having was whenever I was trying to draw Astarion's eyes, pretty much all it was just a blob there. As you can see, now I can kind of get in here and draw the eyes for them. Still though, the eyes are not as good as they could have been, but I was also having a lot of crashing again on this. A lot of crashing. Freezing. I had a freeze that was like for 10 minutes on here. My entire iPad just completely froze for like 10 minutes. Sorry for the camera wiggle. I'm moving my hands and, I have this up on a tripod. But, so I think that I'm actually going to have to, unfortunately, buy an iPad Pro, and I'm probably going to get the biggest mistake, The biggest mistake that I feel like I made with this was getting the base model. If I had have gone for the one with the 16 gigabytes of RAM, I probably would have been in a different position right now. But, I also wanted to see how far I could push the base model iPad Air, because there are a lot of people that can't really afford an iPad Pro with max specs and everything. So I wanted to get something that is obtainable for most people. And I thought that this would be obtainable for most people. This was about $1,000. With taxes, it was $1,200. With taxes and the Apple Pencil Pro, it was $1,200 USD. I felt like that was pretty obtainable for most people, and so I really wanted to see how far I could push it. And yeah, I found that out. You can push it far, and you can still do a lot of amazing artwork with this iPad Air. It's when you start to get into those more demanding paintings where you have to really get into high resolutions like 8K and things like that. You're going to be limited with like 8 or 9 layers. And for me personally, I can work with 8 or 9 layers, but a lot of people can't. So yeah, I'm going to go for probably an M5 iPad Pro. I'm also worried about that OLED, but you're just going to have to see. I'm hoping that, it should be able to pay itself off before the burn-in is a factor. So yeah, if it can pay itself off and in 5 years I have enough to buy a new iPad Pro, oh well, it doesn't matter. Because again, it's a business investment, a business venture, right? So I think I finally found the limit of the iPad Air. And I'm really still glad that I got this. I'm going to keep it. I don't want to trade it in. I still want to keep it as like a backup. I don't really want to get rid of it. Not right now. I may in the future decide to do a giveaway of it. And I did have it what's it called? Like, I can't even remember. I can't think of it right now. But yeah, you can see my tag right there, Westways Able. So whatever that's called, I cannot remember for the life of me right now. But yeah. Engraved, that's what it is. I had it engraved with Westways Able right there. So I might do a giveaway of this eventually once I get that Pro. Though I'm not really sure. Overall, though, I still love this iPad, and I have used it to death. I've put, again, thousands of hours into this iPad Air. The battery life is still amazing. The screen still looks amazing. Everything about this is amazing except for that RAM, the storage and the RAM. That's my only complaints with this iPad. Other than that, I am extremely happy with it, and I really don't think that I would need the Pro, but I do think that I will go for the Pro, test that out, and see how things are. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this video. If not, just let me know. I would love to hear your opinions on this whole ordeal with the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. Do you think that I made a mistake going for the iPad Air? I really don't think I did, because again, I wanted to see how, usable this would be, how far you could push it. I wanted to push this thing to its max with digital art.